So Jim Lal-Tabak here, grateful to be here with all of you and that you can show up. And those of you that are watching this Facebook Live or perhaps see it on YouTube when I post it on my channel, you can always direct message me or go to my website, bodymindmedicine.com, and contact me there if you have any questions or want to set up some kind of a consultation. At any rate, um, I've been doing this about 5 years online since the pandemic. We had to close our office, and it's really opened up a great opportunity to connect with people at a distance. And so at any rate, I wanted to talk today about breath work. And so I have to make sure people are muted. Sorry. If you could, I don't know why I did. Dun, 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 dun. So there's this little bar. Ah, there it is. Okay. All right. So what I was going to say was I wanted to talk about breathing and breath work. And some of you are probably fairly familiar with that, but there's been a movement today, these days, and it's really popular being taught online. And so I went to an event and had an interesting, what I think is an interesting learning experience when I was on this breathwork call. I learned what some people are doing out there, and it reminded me of some things that I learned early on back in 1979, maybe 78. So there was I was studying Asian studies in college, and some healer guy came through town, and I was with a lot of my colleagues from my department, a number of them grad students, and we took this class. And we did all this well, for me at the time, I thought it was really intense work. And um, and I had what I would characterize as a Kundalini experience where we did all this intense breath work and other exercises. And my top of my head just like felt like it just popped open. And I became sort of like a walking, it was like I was stoned all the time. I mean, it really wasn't pleasant, that people get high because it changes their perceptions, right? This was just like, I mean, I had to drop out of school. I had to work. I worked in a deli, a basement deli in the town I was at, and washed dishes mostly. So, and then I started finding, grounding yoga and meditation and things that sort of held me down. And I still, it took me a long time to find out how to clear my head. And it's real. The energy is real. It's serious. And the class that I went to had the person talked like people didn't believe in it or something, and then he had this breathing technique that was all through the mouth, open mouth, really sucking air in and more air and bringing the energy up from the base of the spine to the head and then blowing it out the top of the head. And I'm a seasoned practitioner of breathing work. And so it was okay for me, but it reminded me of that early experience that could be really, really detrimental to people on a path that are, and the idea in this breathwork class was that you can use the breath to heal yourself. And So I was talking to a colleague friend of mine who's also a yoga teacher and meditation teacher, and and I was saying how it took me a while, and I realized when I was a little kid, we would I lived in the city of Chicago, and in the hot summers we would turn on the fire hydrants and the water would pour out. Sometimes now they put sprinklers on, but before that, it was just this immense, strong gush. And we would sit in front of it, and it would throw us across the street. and and that's kind of like what this is. This is a blast of prana without control. And so, my suggestion, if you decide to study, be really mindful of who you're studying with, that it's safe, careful, and the some of the more traditional yoga teachers from India will teach. I mean, one of the traditions that I studied early on is this BKS Iyengar, and this is a book called Light on Pranayama, which is really extensive. And so if you have any interest in that, you could check this book out. It's not an easy read. It's all just how kind of like set up what the different techniques are. But it's better to have a teacher. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to talk about was this early experience I had back in the 70s again, where yoga teachers would go to India. They would they would study with a master, they would learn something, and they would come back and taught what they would teach what they learned. But they learned something for them, for themselves. And it's more mature now. I think teachers are more careful about it, but you really want very specific styles of yoga to enhance your health. And it really depends a lot on the type of person, body type that you have. So at any rate, I like to talk about my experiences, and this is one that's going on right now in our, in our world, so to speak. And so, according to, on the internet experiences, and I believe you can learn on the internet, but I just want to say it's better to have a one-on-one experience. From my experience, you want someone who has had a lot of teaching, especially with this breathwork stuff, because the energy can really flow, especially if you're a sensitive person. Now, some people might need a sledgehammer. I don't know, to break through some of that, really tough skin. However, a sledgehammer, what does it do? It destroys, and so my recommendation is that you go really gently, start with, and why don't we, I taught this a couple of weeks ago. This was a breathing to expand and stretch the lungs, and we did it a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago. And I think it's good to do it again. But it's got to be done slowly, because the lungs and the intercostal muscles and the rib cage all need to be stretched, but gently. And there's fascia involved as well, and that needs to be lubricated and slowly expanded and given. But the basic premise is we inhale and gently through the nose, because that's where you can control all of this. And then you pause for a moment and inhale a little more. And then you pause and inhale a little more. And so the thing is, you want to start with a nice erect spine, feet grounded. Just breathe nice and easy through the nose. So the first order is to see that you're nice and easy with your breath, that you're not forcing it. We are going to cause a little bit of stress by when we come to our full, for your own experience is where the lungs, where you stop breathing in, and then you pause. So we'll take a little breath in till the lungs are full without forcing it, and then pause, and then breathe in a little more. Pause so it stops, the breath stops, but you're holding it in, and then breathe in a little more. One more time, pausing, and then breathe in a little more. Hold it. And then just slowly, easily release it. Just see how you're feeling. So even this simple, gentle exercise can wake up the energy in your body. So we want, and that's a good thing, as long as it's not, causing issues, of course. And that there's a second side of it. So this is a practice that you can start to work on for yourself on maybe every other day or whatever works for you. It could be every day, but gently, for say a minute, then or 5 minutes and maybe 10 minutes, and not more than that. And but the second half is the releasing of all the oxygen. So you take a breath in and then exhale. Just let it out gently. Let it go as much as it'll go. Pause and see if you can let go or push out a little more air. Pause it. Push out a little more air. Pause. Push out a little more air. Hold it. And then let the air just come back naturally into your lungs and breathe nice and easy. So you can see these two different aspects. We're clearing out, with the second one, we're clearing out all the air because most people shallow breathe and leave what some people characterize as dead air in the lungs, which means it hasn't, you haven't pulled all the oxygen out, or it's just some carbon dioxide. So we want to practice learning how to breathe more fully. And over time, the lungs open more with effortlessness, and your lungs can learn to squeeze out all the air, but we don't force it, and you don't think about it during the rest of the day. It's just a little part of perhaps a routine. If you can plug that into your routine as part of your, maybe a warm-up before exercise or whatever. Anyway, or before meditation, just the essential part is that it's really easy, right? We're not forcing anything. We learn to be really gentle and easy and not feel like we have to force through all in order to have some kind of mystical experience. It'll be a gentle, and you won't fry your circuits. And that's if you start to feel stress, and there are other things that help manage energy flow in the body that I can't get into within this time because I want to get to the treatment. So I've been talking long enough on this. So let's just relax, settle in. Just nice and easy, gentle, noticing your breathing, feeling the floor, being aware of any sensations in your body, sound, light, touch, smell, taste, thought. Just noticing all these different ways we gather information from both in our bodies and outside. And from the thought, then, notice if you have any intentions, any concerns, anything that you feel is important that you would like to focus energy toward, um, to help you feel, to make progress in your life. It could be anything from a physical issue to a behavioral, or you know a, some kind of goal that you want. Just bring that into your mind's eye to see it not as a struggle, but as, this is seeing it as you want to see it, or as it could be, you could say, um, that it's, you see, like, oh, I want to live in this really beautiful place, with wonderful trees, and something like that. You could visualize that. Visualize what you, feel would be, beneficial. It could be for someone else too, like peace in somewhere around the world, or whatever. So that said, take a moment, breathing, visualize, notice how it feels when you see it, because we want to link emotion. When I say feel, I mean emotional feelings with this, experience of your what you're visualizing, and what your intention to create, or to perhaps not create. But at any rate, noticing that feeling, and then let it all go. So at this point, I want you can, if you like, if you feel any need, you can create safe, boundaries. You can notice the breath and feel that the energy, well, classically is that the left is receptive and the right is, more, like yin is left, yang is right, you could say. Or, you know, so the right is more generative, or, um, the flow of the energy is out through the right side, the right hand, right arm, and it flows in through the left. And you could think of it coming up from the floor too, that the energy flows in from the base and out through the top. So we have to be really careful, gentle, easy. This is effortless action. So you're not, you don't have to make or force energy to move. In fact, quantum physics shows that, well, we know you just try to, you can move, oxygen and air just by waving your hand, right? So, those electrons and all that can be easily moved with a thought, or, um, because of your intentions. So keep that in mind, that we want to go to the place of least resistance, so our system does not get stressed. We have enough stressors in our lives, when we're trying to force solutions in the regular world. So this is an opportunity to just let things go in the flow of the universe that the Taoists call the Tao, the way, this flow of being natural, nature oriented awareness. So, spend time just perhaps noticing any sensations now. Take a moment again to just feel your feet and your seat, or if you're lying down, your contact points, just to re-emphasize momentarily that you are held by Mother Earth. See if you can experience any gratitude as we're working for any part of your life that is even some of the difficulties over time we can learn to grow from, can point us in a direction that maybe we wouldn't have gone. Part of growing up, perhaps. Or just some of the points in your life that perhaps finding that time when you actually felt joy and love and safe and were able to share that love and joy. You could be 3 years old. And if you can't remember, so to speak, you still might be able to have a feeling of that. We want to bring these kinds of experiences into the present, especially if you haven't felt like that for a while, because there's a lot of interruptions over our lifetime that can mask that innocent, loving child that we once experienced. Today, we know that cosmic particles and waves can travel distances with seeming no heat, So it's seemingly no, this very subtle energy. I mean, you pick up your phone and, you know, where did the information come from? So we can be transmitters and receivers ourselves. Even if some people like heard radio signals in their teeth, when they had too many metal implants, but that's, I mean, it's an example of what can happen, but, we have the capabilities. We have all kinds of, we're made up of, like say, stardust, we have all kinds of, and we have all kinds of metals and minerals and things, and it's intelligently uh, sort of constructed or within our system. So we can utilize that consciousness to be open to the creativity, the love, the intelligence, consciousness that's out in our world, in the universe. You just have to take a moment to slow down enough to be able to experience it. Because if you go too fast, you'll just run right by it, right? You'll be always looking out there for what's already could be you might experience inside or right in the moment. The solution might be here, and you just missed it. So, and it might not be here, but if you're not here and you're over there, you'll always be looking ahead of it. It'll be right. It's like right in front of your face when you missed it because you looked in the future. So we want to take that time to really experience this moment, the beauty, all the gifts that we could be receiving right at this moment. So we're going to wind this treatment down now. I want you to take your hands in front of you and bring them into a prayer type position in front of the heart for a moment. Let's just rub the hands together, bringing a lot of warmth, friction, and then pause and just really slowly undulating just a little bit. See if you can become aware of some of that energy between the hands. Just widen it out. Squeeze it back in, playing a little accordion without the instrument there. And we just to see what we experience this. And then taking the hands, reaching up, catching this golden light consciousness, and then draw it down back to the heart center. We'll take the hands, turn them toward the heart. Breathing nice and easy still. Nice full breaths, not working hard. And then we'll turn the palms out and inhale and exhale as if you're sending all that energy out into the universe. We'll do it 3 times. So bringing the back in, inhale and exhale. Inhaling back in. And exhale. Bring them back in, inhaling, and hold them there, feeling any gratitude for peace, harmony, coherence. Well, I want to thank you all for being here this evening, and it's always rewarding to spend time with this kind of with this information and this ideas and talking about it, and I'd love to have conversations with people. If you feel like you'd like to give me a call, feel free. Text me first, of course, and if I have time, I'll see if we can talk more. And of course, if you have any, if you'd like to schedule an appointment, I'm open to that too, to deal with any, pressing issues that you might feel like are coming up for you. Because, I do help people find solutions and work on things and open up opportunities. So with that, we'll pass. I want to again say thank you for being here. I don't know where my buttons are. Oh, there they are. All right. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. So namaste, peace,
Namaste. Thank you.
and see you again. All right. Take care.